In this video, we're going to be looking at the common ratios questions and what you're likely to see in the GCSE. So ratios is kind of split into three main topic areas. And the first one is probably the biggest. So that would be sharing something in a given ratio, usually money, but it could be other things like lengths or other stuff like that as you get higher up. So sharing is taking a sum of money, like £200, and sharing it in the ratio of 2 to 3. And what that means is taking £200, like imagine you have £200 coins, you're going 2 for you, 3 for you, 2 for you, 3 for you, and you keep doing that until you run out of money. And instead of doing that process manually like that, we say to ourselves, well, how much do I give out each time? 2 to you, 3 to you, we just add them up and we get 5. So essentially we're giving out £5 every time, and we want to know how many times 5 goes into 200. And we can say, well, that's how many times I give out that £2 to that particular person. So 200, we're going to divide that by the total of the ratios, which is 5, and that is 40. And essentially that's saying I did 2 to you, 3 to you, 40 times. Okay. Once we understand that process, we can say, right, if I gave you £2 40 times, this first person is going to get 2 times 40, which is £80. And the second person will get £3 40 times, they'll get £120. Okay, so understanding it on a deep level like that isn't necessarily the way to go, but I just wanted to explain it like that so that you can kind of see with money how this sharing process works. But most students will simply add the ratios and divide and say, well, that is what one share is worth. You could think of it like that. One share is worth 40, and so the first person gets 2 of those, 2 times 40, and the second person gets 3 shares of £40. Okay, so this is a very, very common question with ratios. The second idea is a scaling question. Okay, we'll stick with money, and they'll say something like Alan and Bob share some money in the ratio of 2 to 3, and Bob gets £150. How much does Alan get? And this is linked to our proportion topic, where we're scaling up by the same amount in order to keep them in the same ratio. So we ask ourselves the question, what do we times 3 by to get 150? If you're ever unsure, divide them. 150 divided by 3 is 50. So if I times Bob's by 50, I've got to do the same to this side, and then I get 100, like that. Students will often try to do the sharing process when you're meant to be doing a scaling. So they'll do the 2 plus 3 and then divide the £150 that was in the question. But what you're doing with that is you're sharing Bob's money and giving some to Alan, right? That's Bob's money. So you wouldn't want to be like, oh yeah, let's share that out in a ratio of 2 to 3 and give Alan some more of that. This is a scaling question, okay? Kind of like the proportion topic. And then the last type, which is kind of getting more and more common these days, is a kind of double ratio question. And what that looks like is something like this. You might have houses to bungalows are in the ratio of 3 to 7. Bungalows to flats are in a ratio of 5 to 9. And they want to know houses to flats, or what's the ratio of all three. And at the moment, we can't compare them because we've got 7 and 5 like this. So I always say to students, imagine you're doing a adding fractions kind of idea. You would try to get these two numbers to be the same, like the common denominator, and you sort of scale up the fractions to match. Okay, so here, this 7 and this 5, because the bungalows are the ones that are in common, so that's the one we're going to make the same. 7 and 5, if I make this 35 times by 5, then I can do the same on the other side and make that a 15. And on this side, make that a 35 by timesing by 7. So do the same to this side. 9 times 7 is 63. And now that we've made the bungalows the same number, we can do houses, bungalows, flats. We can actually combine these together. And the question will be something around that, like what's the ratio of houses to flats? And then you can put those two together. Only once you've done this sort of common denominator idea. We're trying to get the highest, lowest common multiple of these. That's the kind of idea. So then we can compare them together.